Greetings YouTubers. Well, today we are going to be doing something a little different. I guess in every video I could say that, right? We're always going to be doing something different. Well, just some filler words, I guess. This is my 2006 Chevy Trailblazer, and we're going to be replacing the old radio, taking the old radio out and putting a stock radio in, aftermarket radio I should say. Take the old stock one out here, and we got something that's got Bluetooth and all that we're going to be putting in. And I want to show you how I typically do this. Now, a lot of guys rip all this apart. You don't have to take all this bezel and stuff out. I'm going to show you how I typically do it. But this is the old radio. The CD player works, but half the lights are out and all that. And of course, to replace these, you can do them for about $100. Put a different radio in here and have Bluetooth and all that, and GPS, moving maps. I got one for $100, and I think it was $40 free shipping. They're pretty decent little radios. And here's one we're going to be putting in. I'm not sure what the name brand of this even is. They're all different. They're from overseas. And this one's got everything you can imagine. It's got GPS. It's got even a CD player on it. And has aux and all that. But when you're buying these on eBay, off of dealers and stuff, you can look at the specs and all that and see what you would like to get. And this also has a reverse camera, which we're going to try to hook up on this Trailblazer. And there it is. The nice thing I like about this thing here is you got little bolts here. You can just bolt this anywhere on the outside. I don't think I'm going to have to drill any holes or anything. I got a wire there I got to worry about. I got to figure out how to do that back here. One wire goes to the ground and the other one goes to your brake light, the reverse light, the hot side, which we're going to try to tie it in probably over here. And just quickly, the thing you get with this radio, you get a mic for hands-free, you get your GPS antenna, and you get some brackets, you get a remote and all that. Now, two quick things on these radios. You can hook them straight up to the plug here for the Trailblazer and go straight into the radio. Now, you can also buy something called this thing here. It's called an interference PAC, and what it does, it kind of ties in to the system and lets you get your ding ding and all that, and your warnings and chimes and all that. If you don't use this and just tie it straight into the plug, you're not going to get any of that. I think I paid $30 for that. Even these are not that loud. I wish they would put a bigger speaker in them, or turn the volume up a little bit. I'm not sure what that is, but this in here is for the non-OnStar, and some are for OnStar, so you got to be careful with that. And I don't have the antenna out here on the glass for the OnStar. The other Trailblazer I did had it, so it was a 2002. And let's see, other than that, we got some paperwork here. This one here came with pretty decent wiring instructions, which is pretty amazing. Some of these wires I don't need. I just kind of put heat shrink on them, tie them up somewhere if you have a power antenna, or if you want to watch movies and tie in the brake light, and you got an illumination light. This radio doesn't have that. It has constant power going to the illumination and all that, and has some controls on the front where I can just kill the illumination and all that and dim it and all that. So that is that. I've already got it wired up. I didn't want to bore you guys with all the wiring information, heat shrink, and just a simple soldering kit from Walmart for $12. You get some solder, and you get a little heat gun for it, and that did the job there. And of course, I got a heat shrink kit for that. Those things there for the keep the wires from shorting out. All right, for the reverse camera, you get a really long wire, and you get a plug that goes straight in to the reverse camera. Pretty simple setup. And what we're going to do is go ahead and see if we can get the radio kind of put in first, and then run this wire all the way back through here somehow. A pretty long trip. I think the wire should be long enough. A lot of these are just designed for cars. They just give you enough wire, but I think we'll make it work somehow. So I think I've covered all the bases here. You know, these things here. So there's the part number for that. For the interference, class 2, little doodle-whopper, and all this other stuff here. And of course you get a user's manual and all that. Tells you some pretty interesting ways you can hook it up. Some of them don't even come with decent user manuals. You got to figure out the wiring on your own, and a lot of times it is universal. So I think I've covered all the bases. Got a cheap faceplate, and these things here we're gonna either use these or use the other ones I got. I got a plastic one I can kind of set on the side of this here that I bought for like $5. I'm not sure which one we're going to use because some of these in the Trailblazers are kind of weird because you want this to stick out just far enough in front of the faceplate in there to make it work. So I think that's it. GPS antenna, mic, that's it. So let's go up front here. Let me show you how I typically get this thing put in. Alright, some of the tools I got right now, you know, straight screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, and I got this little tiny socket set which has an extension on it, and a lot of these are 7mm bolts that we're going to have to take out of the radio. But what I do is basically take out a couple Phillips screws. There's one right here, and there's going to be one right down here that nobody can find for some reason, down here beside these aux plugs here. There's a little Phillips screw in there we're going to take out, so I'm going to have to use both hands and get that out. Alright, so there's one of the screws. You got to stick your hand back in there. And this one's just about ready to come out there. And there is that one. And the whole idea is when you take those two out, you can just grab this here and pull this out a little bit. Like that. And you can see this actually comes out quite a ways, but what we're going to do is put the emergency brake on. Put the key back in the ignition here. Grab the key. Just turn it on and drop it down in gear or something. That way it won't roll. Then turn the key back off. And at this point, we can pull this back even farther. See? We can take these little bolts out. There's two there and one right there. And you can slide this radio right out, and we can put the new one in. We don't have to take all this stuff apart. So I know there's lots of videos on YouTube, but hey, maybe somebody will watch this and say, hey, that was pretty cool. You never know. Let me know where you're watching from right now. Alright, so there's two of the screws, and we got this one here just about ready to come out. I think I can do that with my finger. Alright, and I got the key on. It eventually quit dinging. You have to put up with the dinging a little bit. And now all I gotta do is grab my hand and pull this out of here. Let me set the camera up. Alright, so we pull this back, slide this out, turn it sideways, turn it back off, and we'll go ahead and unhook our wires and our plugs back here in the back, and we're good. And I got an extra ground wire back here just for static. I'm gonna pull off. You don't have to worry about this. There we go. That's how you can get it out. And there's the back of it. Pretty simple. You know, it's got a little thing here that goes in the back of the frame. It's just a support bracket. And there are the only two plugs. I don't know what this plug is for. I can unplug it and the radio still works. Might be for the OnStar system if it was going to have it. And that's it. And I got an extra ground here somewhere that I just kind of stuck on here so I would have it. And that's it there, in case you need it. So, yeah, it should be a black wire, but I got some black on it. And that's it. And you can see you got all this room here. We can slide the new radio in and all that. And since we got all that out, now we'll put it back up in park. And if you're doing this, you know, if you're in a driveway and you got a little bit of a slant, make sure you pull the emergency brake. Maybe even put some blocks under the wheels because it's easy to forget to put it back up in park when you're doing all this. But the tail sign will probably be that your key is on. Alright, now we'll turn it off. And it is locked. Alright, so the first thing is, some of the things we get into with these brackets on these Trailblazers is, they work good in other vehicles, but the Trailblazer is kind of weird. You can see right here, you would want this like this. Well, the problem is, on this side, the hole lines up pretty good there, but I don't know if we put that on the side of the radio how well it's going to work. But on this side over here, let me pull the camera back here. It gets a little weird over here because none of these holes will line up with this bracket. No matter wherever I put it, I can't get it to line up. So, yeah, you can drill some holes in this piece of bracket and try to make it work, but it's just not going to work. So I've got something that I ordered on another radio, and you can order these. They're universal brackets. They're plastic. You can break the tabs off, and you can make it work the way you want to work. And let me go get what I've got. All right, now here's a pretty cool Kenwood radio that I had in for a while. The problem is this thing is so old, it takes literally 58 seconds for it to boot up. It has moving maps and CD player works and all that, but it doesn't have Bluetooth. You have to buy an extra $100 piece to hook it up, and look at how complicated this thing is in the back. This is from 2001. Top of the line back then, but not anymore. So here is a plastic universal bracket that I bought for this, and I've got it to go right in here. You can see I got the 2 holes here. Looks like part of that's broke off there, but there's that side over there. So I think we might transfer these plastic brackets off onto the new radio, but I just had a brainstorm. I realized by taking this one bracket here, if I hold this, well, if I hold this up here, if I break this little nipple off right here, this is just for a factory radio to center it. If I break that nipple off, then those holes actually do line up. So maybe we can use these. Same thing over here. So perhaps, I think that's what we're going to try to do. We'll try to use these. But then again, you're going to be worried about how far the radio is going to stick forward through all this. And then we can do some adjustments here. If this doesn't work out, we still got those backup brackets to work out. But I just wanted to show you, they do sell universal brackets. There it is. Universal brackets that you can buy. If you want to buy a radio and it doesn't have any brackets, you can buy these. So then you have to just kind of figure out what works for you. You got to break some of these little tabs off. They come with 1,000,000 tabs on both sides, so you can kind of adjust them to your own radio. So put it in your vehicle to your own radio. That's what I'm trying to say. Something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so let's go ahead and see if we can bolt these on the radio and see if they'll come close to bolting in here and staying. Alright, so after some finagling, I guess that's a word, I've got it kind of mocked up. Boy, what a, I want to say a nightmare, but you really got to have patience with this stuff. So it's kind of sitting in there, and there's a clip back here. When you push this in, you'll hear go click, and it kind of holds this up, and of course you got the screw in here. That's what keeps this faceplate on there kind of solid. The thing about the old Trailblazer radio, where the edge of this is here, they make these radios so big where no matter where it is, you still have a lot of this back faceplate here on this radio that you can't see. Well, the newer radios aren't like that. They're real thin here. So if you have a gap around your bezel, like I have here, well, there's not much you can do about it. Although you could take the radio out and make something put behind here, but then you got to readjust this radio, how far back you want to get it. And I didn't want to cut this bezel anymore, but it's pretty much centered right there, and it doesn't look all that bad. I think we'll go with it. The one they give me, the bezel, well, if you put it on there, it's going to push this faceplate back out, and I can't push this in, it won't click. Yeah, I can push the radio back, but it's back as far as it'll go, and I'll show you in a second. But you can make something like this that's really thin and put behind here, and that would cover up these little corner gaps if you're really that obsessive about it. So let me show you here. Pull this out, and you can see it's kind of sitting in there, one bolt there, and on this side over here I've got one bolt kind of mocked up, and you can see how many 1, 2, 3 slots down. I had to do that one. It kind of sits at a weird angle. It's just how these Trailblazers are. And you can see the bezel, I had to trim just a tiny bit. I took a file and just kind of squared that up so it would slide over that like that. And see, when I push on this right here, it goes flush. Now, you can do it any way you want, okay? Just remember, this is just how I'm doing it. And I'm just kind of showing you what you got to get into. There's a piece here, this little guide. It was broken off back here. It goes in right here on this hole. It was broken off, so I got that out of the way. And this hole here is for this little slide piece. There's a piece right here. This is what goes in there and keeps this top part in there. So, you know, not all bad. Let me pull the radio out and show you where everything is there, the side pieces. I wasn't even going to do a video on this, guys. I figured maybe it'll help somebody out. I don't know. But basically, there's how I did that side there. I cut this off right here a little bit because you got a peg that goes in there. And on this side, you can see how it's kind of set up. I actually had to take this bracket and slide it up a little bit over this plastic. So that was kind of weird. Same thing on this side. So, and you can see the bezel almost goes over this, but I didn't want to cut it anymore. Alright, something else that's worth mentioning. This is that old radio I was telling you about, that old Kenwood. I had these big headed screws in the side of this. Well, when I tried to use these in this, they stick out so far, this radio wouldn't shift over enough for me to get it through the bezel. So make sure you use these low profile screws that they typically give you with these. I cheaped out and tried to use these because I wanted to save these, because the other radio I didn't get these. But make sure you use low profile screws. You can see they don't stick out as far as something like that. So there you go. Alright, so I've got the side brackets here. I mocked it in here one more time, kind of stuck it in there, and I like how it sits there, so we're going to go with that. Alright, let's go ahead and make sure the radio works. Get the plug plugged in. Here's that piece, and you know, I just typically just lay it down in there. It would be nice if you had a way to maybe put it down here, or maybe stick it there. That way you can hear this, because it's not very loud. So I guess if the wire was just a little bit longer, you could probably do that, but there's so much stuff back in here, you'd almost have to drill a hole to do that. But it's loud enough, I can kind of hear it. But anyway, let's go ahead and turn this radio on and make sure. Alright, good, power's up. This one here, you can actually set your own radio, you know, badge or whatever on it. So, alright, so everything seems to work pretty good. And all that GPS, I don't have the GPS antenna hooked up or anything. What I'm going to do is go ahead and put the GPS antenna right here on this Trailblazer. I can lift this piece up right here. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to slide the wire down behind here and let it drop down into here. And we're just going to leave the antenna glued right here. You don't have to put them outside. I've never had an issue. They work just as fine as long as you get them in the windshield. Alright, as for the GPS antenna, we got that there, and I actually dropped the glove box down. The wire came out, and I just fished it back over here, and there it is. So that works out pretty good there. You can kind of figure out there's a place right about over here where you can kind of push the wire down, and it comes right near the glove box. It makes it easy to grab onto. Alright, so next, here comes the fun part. That goes in the back of the radio for the backup camera, and our wire is plenty long enough. It goes all the way in the back, and lots of extra wire, which is good, so that's going to work out good there. So obviously we're going to run on the inside. What I'll probably do is somehow get it to come out here and get it up under the carpet and just run it down along the outside here of this trim, and run it through the back and have it come out here somehow, because eventually we're going to put the cam down here, I believe, because I really don't want to put it on the door, because the door is going to be going up and down, and I'm going to have to run another long wire to here. And the wire that I have here now, well, it's not very long, so that has to go to the reverse hot there, from what I understand. So let me check that out. Hey guys, we're heading in the right direction here. I got everything through the hole. There is the backup camera. Now I ran the wire. Let me set the hang on, let me get the camera set up here. I ran the wire behind here. There's a little place, and as you run the wire out, you'll see it right there. Now down in there's a hole. I think you can kind of see the light. See a little light down there? That's where the wire now comes out. Right about here. Right there's part of it. There it is. And I fished it behind the carpet right here, so my foot or nothing will get caught on it. And I pulled it up, and it comes out right here and all that. So you have to pull your carpet back, pull your piece of trim up, and we can put this back here in a sec. And now we have plenty of cable. It goes all the way through there, and we'll put that under there, under that piece of trim. And there's that. I have lots of cable left. So that's how I'm going to do that, and that's how I did it on my Xterra. It's really the only way you can do it, unless they make these cameras that are Wi-Fi. That would be really awesome, you know, if they had a Wi-Fi camera, backup camera, but I don't think they do. So All I can do is put my carpet back down, clean this up, put the trim on it, and get the back of it hooked up. So that's how I'm doing that. All right, guys, so here's where we're at. We're back here in the back, and I've got the camera kind of bolted in. I made a hole here and fished all this mess down in. Now on this wire, on the camera wire, I had a red wire, and when you plug this guy here in, coming in from the camera, well, the radio itself, it has a wire on it too. So basically these two wires go to the reverse light, to trigger wire. I'm just going to solder them together real quick because this one here was kind of short and this one here was continuous. So I just broke the wire, and that way we can run one wire to ground and one up to the reverse light. So yeah, I broke out the soldering. I just wanted to make sure it was done right. And if it works, I'll put some heat shrink on it and we'll shrink it down. Then we can just pull this up in here and finish it up. I'll have to run this probably up maybe through here or something under this piece of plastic and go up to the tail lights. So we're getting close. Yeah, if you want to do it this way, it's a little more professional with the solder and stuff, but if not, you can get some clamps and kind of clamp them together. These wires are really thin, so you gotta be careful not break them. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. Get this on here. Alright, that should hold. And now when I put my heat shrink on, I can do it all together like that. So alright, so all I gotta do is run this wire to the ground and to the reverse and see if our camera light will come on, reverse. Alright, for the ground wire, I got my test light here. I got it kind of grounded there. And it looks like to me, I pulled the light out. See, my reverse light is on. That's the only light I got on. Nothing else. And it looks like the middle wire here is the wire we need. See it lighting up? Doo-doo, doo-doo. I think you can kind of see it there. So all we've got to do is run this hot wire, trigger wire to that, and we should be good. And matter of fact, we can probably just go ahead and just kind of connect this temporarily and see if it's going to work without even putting the light back in first. Alright, we're so close to being done. So the black wire right here is the ground. The middle one is the green one, and that is for the reverse light, hot light. So I took my test light and put the ground here, the clamp, and touched that, and it lit up. So now let's go in and put it in reverse and see if our camera comes on. Alright, so I got the radio just kind of sitting there because I've got to be able to start it and put it in reverse, and you can hear when I put the key in, the dinging. Kind of hear it. That box is not very loud. Alright, start it up. Turn it back on. It may take a second, I don't know. There we go. Alright, let's say no, we're listening to the radio or whatever. I don't have the antenna hooked up. And let's hit reverse and see what happens. Hey, how about that? I got to flip the camera around, but it works. I should have left it the way it was. I thought it was upside down to begin with. Cool. Back to radio. There's neutral, reverse. Hey, alright, so I actually know what I'm doing sometimes. Alright, so let me flip the camera around. Alright, after some adjustments here, here's what we got. We got a light out. We got the wire coming up through here on the bottom here. We've got this all connected, and I got heat shrink on that. I'm going to just take some electrical tape and wrap this up, then put a piece of connector wire stuff over it, plastic stuff. And this here, we just got to come up here and tie into this and solder it, and we're pretty much done. So that worked out pretty good. And here, when you run the wire through the whole camera system that comes in from the front, I just popped this old rubber plug out here and Then that way, you can get in here in the back, pull this piece of panel out, get this out of the way, and you can push that in there just like that. There we go. That should hold like that. I might just put a little cut in it there just so that wire will go through there a little bit easier, but that's basically it. So I'm going to go ahead and solder this up, and hopefully we'll just be just about done. Alright guys, she's all done, all soldered. Heat shrink, all I gotta do is plug that in, and there we go. So I just started it. Let's make sure it still works. Should go in reverse. Excellent. Wonderful. Alright, we'll kind of wrap this up. We'll check our lights, everything is working. We'll go inside, start it up one more time, put it in reverse. With the emergency brake on, reverse camera should come back on once it powers up. It's on, and our reverse light is working, so yay! So that really took the most time, just running this wire back to the back for your camera. If you don't have to do that, if you don't want a camera, it's not all that bad. Just got to take your time out. The only thing we got to do now is plug this wire in the back. This is your microphone. I'll fish it out here somewhere, and I don't know, leave it up here on the vent or something. It has a little clip. This is a hands-free kind of a deal. Other than that, it's done. I'm going to go ahead and stick it in here, and we'll wrap this video up. And hopefully this helped you out a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to do one more thing here. I have an illumination light. I'm going to go ahead and hook this up because the radio does have a sensor in it. Apparently, as soon as you turn the headlights on, it's supposed to dim the whole unit, but I don't know if it works or not. But I have a adjustment to do that anyway. And that's it. And we'll stick everything in. And also, I think I don't know if I said this earlier in the video. I have to go back and look, but you may have to get you an antenna adapter. A little smaller, so some of these radios are different, so that you have to get sometimes an adapter. So alright, so we're pretty much done here. I've got the little mic wire. I'm going to shove all this wire back in there. I'm actually going to kind of stick it right here, put a little sticky tape or something there. That'll be perfect. Won't be in front of the vents, so the wind noise won't interrupt you talking. And everything seems to work. The GPS works good. The radio seems to be working pretty good also. Everything seems to be just like it should be.
Get the wow of a professional.
And also the map is working, which is great. And I've already checked out the Bluetooth. It works. CD player, you can watch movies and all that, but you got to hook that wire up to your brake in order to do that. Probably not a good idea to watch movies while you're driving, but hey, whatever you want to do. And you can see the CD player here works pretty good. That's one of my old Jethro Tull CDs. So it's a little slow loading the CDs, but everything else seems to be working pretty good on it. And you know, it's kind of an interesting setup, and you can see it's working pretty good. And also at the top here you have these settings for lights. This is just my particular radio. Some of the radios that you buy may be a little bit different and all that. And on this particular radio I can go in here and adjust the settings for brightness, day and night and all that, which is kind of nice. Pretty bright. So on the top of this I can hit the sun or I can hit the moon. It changes brightnesses and all that. So that's all done. The only thing I'm going to do now next before I finish up is to go in the back and kind of adjust my reverse camera. And don't forget to take out your little screws for the CD player, because sometimes if you leave those in, the CD players will not work. So a lot of people forget about those. And also it took a while to kind of manage all the wires to get everything back in there and everything. All I have to do is, like I said, pop this out right now. I don't have it bolted down or anything. And I can kind of adjust this speaker wire here, tuck it in behind here, and make it, all you'll see is just a small wire coming up, and that's it. Alright, so I kind of redid the camera in the back, and let's see, that's much better. It's pointing straight down now. That's what I want to see. And actually I had to flip around the bracket so it would tip down more. I only can tip it down so far because I'll kind of hit that, but that looks pretty good. Alright, and the door will shut, no problem here. Don't miss it until some kid steps up here and decides to step on it. But hey, what are you going to do, right? Alright, so that's about it for the video, guys. The only piece we got left over is this cheap bezel piece. If they'd made this a lot wider, probably would have worked in there somehow, but you know, not bad. You can barely see behind it, and Trailblazer has this kind of an odd shape angle on both sides, but hopefully this will help you out, guys. And until my next video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.